Hello, Sean Eddings here. Welcome to another edition of the MicroCapClub Member Spotlight. In these interviews, we'll showcase many of the talented members of the MicroCapClub. Today we have Jaime Bermejo, a private investor. Jaime, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
So, Jaime, can you tell us a little bit about your background and what you are doing today?
So my background is mainly in law and philosophy, which is a bit strange in this area. But then I turned to finance pretty quickly. I did a master's degree and a year of M&A and now some corporate consulting. So you can say I've been around finance for a couple of years now. But through my law studies, I become very familiarized with distressed equities and distressed situations in general. And through a professor that led me to start investigating some investing possibilities around those type of situations. And then I read all the value investing books, what everyone has already read, but through research, I discovered that for me, I think the situation in which I can create more value is mainly microcaps, because there is less competition. Let's be honest, and there are very intelligent. Some of my colleagues from my masters are working in these big research companies, and they have a lot of resources. They are very intelligent people. So I think the best way to generate good returns, at least for small accounts, are in this kind of situation. And the distressed expertise, if you want to say it like that, brings an extra edge, or I think everyone can do it, but at least an extra motivation to look into more messy and complicated situations.
And do you find yourself in a certain areas of the world in investing in the microcap area? Is it like North American? Because you're in Spain, correct?
Yeah, I'm from Spain. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
are there any situations like in Spain or like other parts of Europe, etc.?
Yeah, I move mainly around Europe, the United States, Canada, South America a little bit, but I need to be comfortable with the jurisdiction of the country. For example, I've been looking now at some small equities in Argentina. Okay. But I'm not. I kind of look into the jurisdiction of the country and how defaults evolve and stuff like that. And some countries I'm more comfortable than others, or have more of a friendly jurisdiction for investors in the case of defaults.
Interesting. And so have you seen any? So you would say you are comfortable with like Argentina?
Argentina has a kind of more flexible jurisdiction, or South America in general. In the United States, you can kind of see where the path is going, and sometimes I get myself into really messy situations where there has been some kind of default, or there's some debt collateral that is being transferred, something like that. And I need to know how the situation is going to evolve. So yeah.
So can you tell us just a little bit more about your investing strategy? And is there any specific thing that you're looking for in these, defaults or bankruptcy situations? And maybe how has your investing strategy evolved over time?
Yeah, so it's always evolving. I started really looking at net asset values and growing from there. So first, when I started, I only invested in situations where the liquidation value of the assets were very much higher than the value of the company in the market, and that went well. But it's a huge amount of work to estimate the liquidation value of some assets. So then I started evolving. studying more business cases, business that works, and business systems. So right now, I think I'm still a very kind of value-oriented investor, or deep value-oriented investor, if you will. But I'm willing to pay a little bit more if the business presents a compelling situation, which is where I am now. But I cannot pay high multiples almost for any company. So I'm away from all these growth companies where you are paying, I don't know, 20 or 30 times earnings. It's just not in my nature. And I know that there are some very intelligent investors that can estimate that future growth of the company, the prospects. But right now, at least, I'm not there yet.
Gotcha. So what would you say are some of your other strengths that you have, and what kind of makes you unique?
Well, actually, my job in corporate consulting is very near to being some kind of external CFO for some big companies, managing the risk, or if they are expanding or selling some parts of the company, whatever, just general situations. And that brings me very, very near to the decisions that the CEO and the CFO are taking. So it has provided me a very clear picture of how different companies are managing their financials and are taking decisions. Just a kind of further insight into the numbers that we can see from the outside as investors. So, for example, I work with a lot of manufacturing companies, which is a sector that is not really sexy at first glance, but I have become sufficiently confident in my understanding of the sector, where now I am finding some compelling opportunities.
Awesome. Are there any large ideas with relation to investing that you've just been thinking about right now, and something that you've read, or read a book, or read an article that's just really been sticking on your mind?
Yeah, there is kind of some big idea, which is the reasoning, or yeah, the big idea is that when you are investing, you are trying to get the higher returns possible within your capabilities, but the recognition that there is always going to be higher returns achievable in other places in the market, and really understanding that, I think, puts you in a place of becoming first more at peace with yourself and with the work you're doing, and secondly, it kind of opens the door for being more patient and saying, hey, maybe I can get a 15% return or whatever over the next 3 years instead of a 20% return over the next 3 years. But the patience I will have, the knowledge of the companies I have already invested in is growing. I'm not going into some situation which is kind of in the edge of my knowledge, so I'm risking it for that extra 5%. Because it's always gonna be there. There's always gonna be people generating that extra 5 or 10% in compared to your results. So finding peace with that is a thing I'm doing now.
Right. Yeah, and it's just understanding who you are, what your capabilities are, and just being okay with people making more money than you, and it's not a travesty.
Sure.
Right.
And it's very difficult to think in 10-year periods when you are basically measured each year. But if you are doing 15% each year for 10 years, you're probably going to have higher returns that almost anyone in the market, or at least a lot of people. So I'm putting
Yeah.
15% as an example, but it can be 20
Right.
or 30 also.
Right. I mean, if you're doing 15% a year for 30 years, you are in your own league.
Yeah, that's another, yeah.
Jaime, you are a newer MicroCap Club member. How did you make your way into finding about the club, and have you found any value so far from the community?
Well, I started following some members of the club on Twitter. I've been following them for years, and then I just one day say, "Hey, all these guys are in here. Why I am not?" And then I posted an idea, which actually the idea I posted is an idea I had from reading one of a member's letter, investment letter. So yeah, I'm actually connecting all the dots, and I talk with him, and now I kind of have an ability to reach all these guys that have been, and I actually have been talking with a couple of them in kind of this bubble, and the ideas that I'm seeing are pretty good. So I actually don't know why I didn't apply earlier.
Right, exactly. It's always, you could have been doing something a lot, sooner, but today's the day.
And I'm surprised with the amount of ideas actually.
Right, yeah.
The
Surprising.
new feature where you can pick an idea that has been left and talk about it. Hey, this company, it's been 5 years now. I will write again the idea, and I will probably do that actually in the next month or so. But there's a lot of ideas that I've been searching that have been talked about at some point in time. So I'm surprised with the amount of information you can get.
Yeah, it's like an extra filter that you have. You don't have to do all of the heavy lifting yourself. So there's a filter with all the members kind of coming up with some ideas, and then from there, it's kind of saving you time.
A lot of time. It saves you, either if you are seeing that idea in whatever page or whatever, but an actual write-up about an idea with a basic understanding of the company, that is by itself, I don't know, 2 or 3 hours of reading through the 10K, what the company does, a little bit about the sector. Is like your first approximation to that company. So it saves a lot.
Great. Jaime, I really appreciate you taking the time to chat with us today, and look forward to seeing your contribution in the community. I'll share your handle for the MicroCap Club down below, but are there any other avenues, say on Twitter, that people can reach out to you at?
Well, I'm kind of low key on Twitter, so the best thing to do will probably just be to write to me straight through the community, and I will answer probably in the same day or the next day.
Thanks again, Jaime, and you have a good one.
Thanks for having me, son.